Excellent. Good afternoon, good morning. My name is Simon Kirby from Inphinity. Thank you for joining us today. It gives me great pleasure to present this webinar with our friend and customer from the US, Brooks Cockram. Brooks works for the Pronto Network Cooperative and has been an Inphinity customer for a while now. So yeah, Brooks, would you like to say hi to the audience and just give a little introduction to yourself, if that's all right?
Yes, thanks, Simon. Like I said, I'm Brooks Cockram with the Pronto Network Cooperative. Sorry, we just changed our name not long ago, so stumble over it every once in a while. I've been in the automotive aftermarket since about '99, and I've been with Pronto Network just past my 10th year anniversary.
Wow, 10 years.
And I'm the director of business intelligence. I don't actually work in the IT department. I made a career out of working in product marketing, content, pricing, and basically attaching. So I've kind of the conduit in between IT and all those people producing projects and sort of getting things done, kind of your classic always wrote my own job description type thing.
It's often the best way, right? To kind of almost guarantee longevity as well. It's a good thing to do. Fantastic. So Brooks, thank you very much. I'm just going to share my screen and just show a couple of slides just to set the scene for the audience. And then what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll kind of do a nice chat. We'll have a nice chat about what it is you guys do, how you use Click, how you use Inphinity, and then hopefully we'll give the audience a chance to see some of the great stuff that you've developed. And I must admit, when you and I spoke recently, we went in detail about what is the Pronto Network Corporation, the kind of service that you offer. And I think you've got some slides where you can help the audience understand that, because it's quite a unique thing that you guys do, but the value you offer your members is just huge. It's just immense. I think that's a really good thing to try and bring out. So let me just present my screen just for 1 second here. Share this. And maybe, Brooks, if you can tell me when you can see that, that would be very helpful.
Yep.
Great stuff. Thank you. So actually, I apologize because we got the wrong name of your organization as well. So it is actually now the Pronto Network Corporation, right? We've got this slightly wrong. I do
cooperative. Yeah.
Cooperative. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So just a little bit about Inphinity for those of you that have joined us today that don't know. We are a technology company. We make software that runs on ClickSense. And we've been doing this now for quite a long time. As a company, we are been working with Click for over 15 years. The technology side of things we've been doing for now about 5 or 6 years. We have over 200 customers globally. Brooks is one of those customers. And we've got 3 main products. So we have Inphinity Forms. That's the one that we're going to concentrate on today. That's the product that most of our customers are using. This is a write-back extension. In the world of ClickSense, it's known as a write-back extension. It lets you enter data into ClickSense, and Forms gives you some very nice ways to enter data, multiple different ways to do that. We also have a flowchart product that lets you actually do process mapping, create organizational charts and process flows. So you can do some nice things with that. And then finally, we have a product called Inphinity Mole. And Mole is a connector, a ClickSense connector that lets you read and structure text-based documents, things like Word and PDF, maybe emails and those kinds of things. You can break them down, tabularize them, and load that into ClickSense. So I'm not going to go into that in any more detail today. A little bit more just around the kinds of use cases for Forms, because this session today will concentrate pretty much on Inphinity Forms. We've kind of done a lot of research recently about the use cases that our customers use Inphinity Forms for. And then this falls into 3 main areas, really. The first one we call write-back. And this is where you're simply adding some context or some information into data that you've loaded into ClickSense. So you might want to add a project status. You might want to explain the movement in a particular number, or just add some commentary to something. All of that you can do, and you can add context to the information that you're loading into ClickSense. And that's a very popular use case, very common. The second one we call planning. This is where you start to look forwards. You might want to create a budget, maybe a forecast. You might want to do some kind of predictions. You can also run what-if analyses or scenarios, those kinds of things. Very common use case for this is finance teams doing some kind of P&L forecasting, cash flow, budgeting. Even sales demand forecasting is very popular as well. So planning is another use case that we see very often. And the third one is when you use ClickSense with Infinity to do something you wouldn't normally think that ClickSense could do. And that is actually build a transactional type system. So you actually use it almost like as part of your day-to-day process, where you enter maybe high volumes of data, sometimes complex data. And you've decided to do that because of the ability of the Click engine and the Click platform to give you the capabilities that you need. And we've now got a number of customers that are doing exactly that. Things like logistics tracking for the delivery of parcels to customers' homes, or producing an inventory for ambulances. We have an ambulance services here in the UK that are doing exactly that kind of thing. So lots of interesting use cases. There is a fourth one we should really add to this, which is around Click development operations, DevOps, where you might do things like section access. Instead of using spreadsheets, you could do section access using Infinity Forms instead. Okay, so those are kind of like the main use cases that we think about when we're using forms. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we'll go back to Brooks, who's the headline act, and we'll start to talk a little bit more about what you guys are doing, Brooks, over at Pronto. So maybe if you can just kind of help me understand a little bit more about how long is it that you've been, I think you mentioned you've been with Pronto for over 10 years, right? Is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what is it that you're doing with Click? What is it that you're doing with Infinity? Give us an idea of the kinds of use cases that you're doing there.
Well, we use it right now for kind of, we use Microsoft SQL Server here, where I do, and kind of anything that's, hooked up with SQL Server that really needs input from multiple people, multiple departments. I'm putting it up, into Click with Infinity and allowing them to touch that information rather than having to teach them how to use SQL Server, for goodness sake. That would be horrific. So that's kind of the overarching thing that we do with it. So things like some of the stuff I'm going to show you later, really, but it's how we tag our I'll go into what we are, but we have members and customers, and so our customers sell to big national accounts, and we need a way to tag those two together.
Yeah.
And that takes input from hundreds and hundreds of people tagging lots of products and lots of accounts together. I'll go into some of the numbers later. So we use it for that as a way to tag things together very efficiently, very visual. Everybody can see, and there's no questions. I've been doing that process now for 7 or 8 years, and before I moved it over to Infinity, it was, raised my hand and said I'd do it, but it was sort of the bane of my existence until we put this Infinity together. It was very, we had a program doing it before that needed a lot of updates, and so we kind of were able to take care of that with this system. We also use it to assist with pricing, to assist with accounting, all kind of things where it's touching lots of people. Again, working with Infinity, a little input here, and then allowing exports into other systems. I'm sure there's things we could do to make it super connective with a lot of the things that you talked about earlier.
Yeah. And Brooks, what version of Click are you doing all of this on? Are you using ClickSense on-prem? Are you using Click Cloud?
I'm on-prem on November 23 patch 2.
Wow. Okay.
So not opposed to, we use ClickView for a long time. So I have ClickView and ClickSense. I have Infinity, and I also use a report. I call it a spinner, a report tool that helps me spin out report. I put up hundreds and hundreds of reports per week up on our extranet platform, and so busy with a lot of that stuff. So
and you do all of this on your own, or have you got any help? Are you a Superman one-man band?
Yeah, I can tell you, I mean, I don't mean this as a, this is in all seriousness, my assistance is tools like what you guys have. It's the only way I could do it.
Wow.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'm a one-man band at the moment. It, you know, more is maybe better, but I can actually, get it done. Have a great wife who allows me to work a little when I need to, and one-man band and a lot of tools. And I can tell you sometimes I don't have time just to research for hours. The support team you guys have is great. They answer everything immediately.
That's good to
We're in
know.
a different
That's good to know.
country, but I can email at night and I come in the morning, it's already answered for me. So
Yeah.
it's pretty great.
Yeah. We're actually looking, because of customers like yourselves and some new ones we've brought on in the US, we're actually looking to hire someone for the support team in the Americas as well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that won't be too long now. So excellent, excellent. So
And,
when
and
did
I
you
think
kind of, oh, sorry, go on.
I'm sorry. I think well, go ahead. I think that's what you're going to ask me. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when did you kind of introduce Infinity? When did you bring that in and put it onto your Click platform?
Well, when I started working here, we were they were already had signed on with Click or ClickView.
Hmm.
In the past, I've used MicroStrategy since '96.
Okay.
I've used Tibco Spotfire. I can use SSRS. I've used a lot of different things. I showed up here and they're using Click.
Hmm.
So I sort of taught myself that watching videos and everything.
Wow.
And then about uh, 5 years in, basically this national account platform I was talking about, this current system needed lots of rebates.
Okay.
I was either at a show or reading online, and I saw this new, this term right back. I started researching right back tools about 5 years ago. And I
Hmm.
think about 4 years ago, we onboarded Infinity. And I just, honest as I can be, the reason I did is because Maria's Tech Tuesday videos are so great. It for a old self-taught. I'm not a traditional programmer. Everything I do is self-taught, and that
Mm.
really was the key to allowing me to do that.
And by Maria, you mean our head of product management, Maria Oreska, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's
And
great to know.
and we've had it for 4 or 5 years. So I
Okay.
only had forms. We just, with our latest round, we're licensed for Flow and Mole, but I just haven't had time to mess with those, honestly.
Yeah. No, it sounds like I mean, we've talked, and you've got a lot of work going on with just forms to keep you busy for a while by the looks of it. So Brooks,
Yeah,
I know you put together a couple of slides that you can kind of help the audience understand a bit about the Pronto Network, how it kind
sure.
of hangs together. Because I know when we spoke, it's an interesting business model. It's an interesting thing that you guys do. So that would be really helpful, I guess, for people to see that. And then maybe afterwards we can take a look at some of the things that you've developed. Is that all right?
Okay.
Excellent.
Let me get over here.
For those of you that are watching in the UK, I hope you're not being too badly affected by the storm. We have a pretty big storm going on here right now, and it's very, very windy. So I'm praying that my Wi-Fi stays up for the duration of this webinar. So
So are we
we're
seeing
good.
that?
Yeah, I can see that, Brooks. Thank you. That's brilliant.
All right. So I'm just going to roll through this uh, presentation, Simon, and
Yeah,
stop me, please, if I'm not answering what you're looking for, and I'll
yeah, no
elaborate a
problem.
little bit. Okay. So
Okay.
again, a couple years ago, so we were there you go. A couple years ago, we were the automotive aftermarket here in the U.S. Has retailers and then traditional repair shops, which might often be referred to as your mom and pop that has very professional mechanics and muffler shops and brake shops and specific. Sometimes they fix everything. Sometimes they're very specific on what they fix.
Yeah.
And we support all that. What we are is what's called a program distribution group.
Okay.
And for a very long time, there was 4 or 5, and then when you add heavy duty, there's more than that. But we were National Pronto, as you had on your first screen there.
Mm-hmm.
And about 2 years ago, we merged with one of our competitors that was called the Network. And so we put the two together, and now we're the Pronto Network Cooperative.
Okay.
We also do partner on programs with 2 of the other major groups on buying programs. And
Mm-hmm.
so the main reason that we exist, as I was telling Simon, is that what you see here, we have 236 warehouse distributor members. And those other 2 groups we talked about, by the time we get up in the numbers, it's almost all of the warehouse distributors across the United States and Canada
Wow.
and Mexico. And what we do is we negotiate um, program terms and rebates and things with vendors on all of those members' behalf.
So Brooks,
So
just to give an example, I think we discussed this. Let's imagine someone needs a new set of brakes for their car or their van, or and
sure.
so we know that a company like Bosch, they make brakes. So
Uh-huh.
is it right that you'll negotiate with Bosch a scheme that gives benefit to the people that need to buy those brakes? They can get, I think you call them rebates, right? So if they sell a certain number of brakes, they can claim like an after sale discount. Is that correct? That kind of, is that
Well,
the
you
right way to describe it?
it it is. You're one step ahead. So we're
Okay. Oh,
um,
sorry
we're we're the
to
warehouse distributor. So we negotiate with Bosch for
okay.
brakes
Yeah.
a whole program. What's the freight? What's the what are the freight terms? What's the payment?
Ah,
We
okay. Okay.
negotiate with Bosch on behalf of our warehouse distributor,
Okay.
the
Excellent.
place that sells the parts to the mechanic that's putting the brake on your car.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
So that customer buys from our warehouse distributor,
Okay.
and so we
Good, good.
negotiate uh, um, the programs on their behalf. That way, Bosch doesn't have to negotiate and go through all of the you know the deal making and separate this all the
Yeah.
different things it could be
For
with
hundreds of different distributors.
400 500 warehouse distributors
Yeah.
across everywhere.
Okay.
And we also do other things like provide services like BI and all kind of marketing programs. We have a huge training award-winning training department that we put on uh, and receive all kind of in concert with our vendors and things like that.
Okay.
But that's why we sort of exist, is to the crux of it is those rebate negotiations, and that's both on purchase rebates and then also on sales rebates. And so you see here on the sales rebates, we support traditional repair,
Mm-hmm.
national accounts, which I'll get into,
Okay.
e-commerce, fulfillment, retail, and then export business.
Okay.
All right.
Good, good. Excellent.
What is a national account? You were asking about that when we
Yeah.
spoke, right? So I like to break them down into a few pieces, which you'll see on the screen later, which I call like chains and franchise stores, which would be like a Midas,
Mm-hmm.
reward programs, which would be like IPG and ITDG, banner shops, which is our own banner flag. A lot of our best customers fly our Pronto Network banner across their when you ever been to a repair shop, you see a bunch of banners in the thing.
Mm-hmm.
That will be a kind of a Pronto Network banner shop.
Okay.
And we also do fleets and government stuff. And I kind of, forgive me if this is wrong, I Googled what might be a comparable thing in Europe, and I came up with Midas is starting to do this all over Europe. I see by a
Yeah.
company called Mobivia,
Yeah.
Euromaster, Repair to Care, and Super Deck. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
They are the same kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, good,
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah.
I got that right.
Yeah.
All right, so I just did I'm going into this to kind of show you why we need a tool
Okay.
such as our NAM system. This is our personal Pronto network footprint. Again, we partner with these other groups also. The footprint really starts black and blocking out the U.S. with dots everywhere by the time we add our cousins in the other two groups that we kind of buy with.
It's an
So you
interesting
see,
point you make there. Oh, sorry, carry on, carry on.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's interesting that the point you make that this is too much to manage with spreadsheets. I can absolutely see why. You've got all of those
Yeah.
account taggings and
Yeah.
40,000 member products. I mean, that's insane. Can you imagine doing that in a spreadsheet? Goodness me.
Yeah. And these national accounts are about 62,000 locations also.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
That's a huge amount of work.
So the two things we do a few more than this, which I'll touch on if we have time, but there's the two main things I'm going to show you today are our NAM system, which is our National Account Management System, and something, I kind of, I know when we spoke, it's kind of like a CRM light kind of thing, but I'm going to call it our member relationship management system.
Right. Okay.
Since that's who we work with instead of our members' customers.
Sounds good.
All right. So our NAM system, and I pulled these. These are going to link over to ClickSense. So bear with me while I bring them in, and then I'm gonna have to look over to a different screen. So
yeah. And just for the audience sake, you run 4 screens, right, in your
yeah,
office? I can barely cope with one. So that's impressive.
So are we good here?
Good stuff. Yeah. So we can see that. I don't know if it's maybe possible to change the zoom level slightly, or you know what you can do if you do Control Shift B, your bookmarks, they disappear. So you can kind of, and then that makes the window look a little bit bigger. So Control Shift and B. Well, there you go. They go away, and that makes things a little easier for us to see.
Is that all right? Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
Good.
All right. And so in the interest of keeping everything private as I can for these demos, I've put in some fake data.
Yeah.
And some. You see this member is called inactive Pronto. But you see, with section access, when a member logs in, they only see who they see.
Got it. Okay.
But you'll see here that this is our member's account. Some names for the member that we kind of pull in from various databases. And then you remember I talked about franchises and then kind of sign up programs, banner shops, and fleets that I mentioned before. Well, so what will happen is and a member can this one is already put in here. So this is an account, and they just determine that this account is a Bell Tire, which is one of the national accounts. They know it's a Bell Tire, but they're not exactly sure which one. And what they can do is they can click on this. They need a store number in order to tag it, right? So they can hit this app, this button right here, which will launch a different app. Let me open it up. That came up, right?
Yep, we can see that.
Good.
Yep.
And so they would go over here to Bell Tire, and I'm just going to make this up and say it was, I don't remember where, it was in Ohio, Sylvania. They go, okay, it was store 65. They come over here.
Okay, that's nice.
65. This is an action button, which says take all appropriate action on it. You'll notice that I said sometimes they're sign-up accounts. This one very easily, this account also, maybe it was a private, local, independent owner, and he may have also signed up on IPG. This member decides whether they want to action them as Bell Tire or as IPG. When we were going over it, I showed you, I can either program it or, maybe one day there'll be a radio button in here where I can just do one or the other. I can program it out. I run testing and stuff on it, right?
And Brooks, just for the sake of the audience, are you saying that your national account members, you have someone at each one of those national accounts, they log into this app, this is available to them, they're not obviously working within Pronto Network. These are guys outside. They come into here
No, no,
and they do this mapping. Is that
no.
correct?
This is our member doing the mapping.
Your member does the mapping, yeah?
This member is called inactive Pronto, but it would be
Okay.
like one of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll show you later on our member relation, our MRM tool that I showed you. You'll see where that is. Okay.
Yeah. But what I
Um,
mean is this is external facing, right? This is an app that's used by people outside of the Pronto Network. They are members, but they're
yeah.
not employees of Pronto Network, right? They're members.
Right.
Yeah.
In effect, our members are our owners, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're
That's true. Yeah.
cooperative, right? So
Okay.
um, we put I have single sign-on, so we log
Okay.
in through our extranet member to single sign-on, and they get right into ClickSense, and
Wow.
I assign a user specific code that can get into Infinity Forms
Mm-hmm.
outside, separate from just ClickSense.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
And then they do this tagging exercise. And by doing this tagging exercise, they're making these particular vendor schemes that you've negotiated available to their accounts within their organization. Yeah.
Right. And in the
Yeah.
interest of time, I won't go into it, but you can hit add rows and they could
Yeah.
add another one. I have done the thing where I dump in every account we ever have. Again, you saw the kind of accounts we have.
Yeah.
There's no reason to slow anything down at all they can just add it. They know which account they have to add. It's not,
Mm. And just
um,
one thing to bring out, guy, for the audience sake, is that when you enter information or when your the users enter information, if they just hit the save button will be updated for anyone to see the information if they're allowed to see it in accordance with security rules, right? You don't
yeah,
have to reload the app to make that happen, do you?
no. So right here,
Yeah.
I just added one, hit save, and it's
And that's
done.
it. It's saved. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that quick. Yeah. Okay.
Then we also have a way to track, maybe future, kind of, we might in negotiation with a new national account put the note out for members and say, hey, we'd really like you to go tag if you have these guys, so we kind of know what footprint we might have.
Hmm.
And that's what we use kind of this for.
Excellent.
Over
And I
here,
can.
you see,
Sorry,
we
carry on.
also, a big part of those spreadsheet, getting away from the spreadsheets I talked about,
Hmm.
is, unfortunately, not everybody pays their bills all the time, right? So let's pretend that this company called Better Equipment Muffler is so late paying our member that they're going to mark them past due.
Okay.
And so I can't tell you how much time that saves. It also allows for, notes, things like that.
And of course, you can see who changed it, when they changed it, and so on. You get like an audit trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fully, I can search here and it'll just
Yeah.
give the one thing, typical. It's very, since you guys are trusted, everything works really nicely with Click. There's no concern there. All right. So we good there? So I'll jump real quick over into, I don't know if you can even see my mouse pointer, but not only accounts do we have to tag, we also have to tag product lines. Because again, we negotiate these programs with vendors, so we have to connect accounts with products. Now, on products, the, I do have to, as I import point of sales numbers into SQL, I also dump un, unmarked product lines that they've added into the system, so that and then those members have to come in here and code them. This is obviously again the fake member, and this works. This again is hooked right up into SQL Server, so they come right here and they have to go find this Bosch. They find it, and being that it's SQL Server, I have a trigger. And so as soon as I save it, you'll see that it'll come over here and update it over to the right vendor ID. So I used to have to do this from them sending me spreadsheet answers or me sending it to them. it was, the very worst part of my job was doing all that, and now they can do it right here, and I don't have to ask them anymore. It's fantastic. Okay. As part of this whole process, this is sales. This is revolving around sales rebating, and I thought this would be kind of fun. I'll do this real briefly. These are completely made up numbers. You see, my vendor here is called Fake Presentation Vendor. Um, we pay shops and make claims back to the vendors. Support us on these shops, so they give us certain amounts of money back to support these programs with these national accounts, and so I have to provide information to them and make claims. Collecting all that, they don't always agree with what we send for obvious reasons. Maybe, who knows what the reasons are? Not obvious. Who knows what they are? That's not all the time, but just every once in a while. Same kind of thing. I'm not paying that particular this or that for whatever reason. That was very hard to track in the past. Now it's as easy as this particular vendor, we had an $868.15 claim on. And when they pay it all, we can come right here and just say they paid the whole thing and hit save. Or let's undo that. Or they can go, they paid it all. Oh, sorry. They paid it all, but they refused to pay this JD buy writer, and they can hit save like that. That lets me know who's paid and who's not. You see here now it's 11:20 connected, and they can come over here and say this is done. And as soon as it's saved, I'm not expecting any more money. That's all accounting has to do. And they come over here to this. We use Sage. They come to this Sage button and export the work that they've done, and they have an automatic upload. I don't have to build it for them anymore. Saves me, I don't know, 12 hours a month.
Brooks, my apologies. I don't know if you know, I had a very brief power cut because of this storm I mentioned earlier, and I had to drop out. Well, I didn't. I was dropped out for 2 minutes, so I'm just back now. So don't recover anything for my sake, but I hope that didn't interrupt anything for you.
Oh, it didn't drop the whole thing, did it?
No, just me, only me. It just kicked me off for a moment, and I had to try and reconnect. And you're all good. We're all good, and as far as I know, everyone can still see everything that you're doing.
Okay. So. Good. All right, so I'm going to move on to the next member relationship management. And I'll touch on, if I can remember, the question you asked me a little bit ago, which was, I'll probably get there. I don't remember. So
yeah, we were just talking about the kinds of things that you do, sorts of things that you use Inphinity for. And so actually what you're doing is perfect, the kinds of things that you're sharing. This, I must admit, when you showed this to me a couple of weeks ago, this blew my mind a little bit. I was like, you're building a micro CRM in ClickSense with Inphinity, which is, wow.
Well, I just, I always think when I send in questions to the Inphinity support team, they must think I'm crazy because, I know most of the things that are presented are usually for accounting and HR and, a lot of that, and I just showed, while you're gone, I showed a way that saves me 12 to 15 hours a month working a form I've provided for accounting to mark things that I can both use in reporting and that they can use to upload into accounting where they don't have to hand key it. So, I mean, the hours that thing saves on everybody is hard to, I don't think we've ever measured it, but it's huge. Anyway.
Brooks, before you did that, just briefly, before you did that with Inphinity, how did you do it before? Was it with a spreadsheet? Was it some other way?
Spreadsheets and our old accounting used to hand key it all into the system.
Really?
Oh, thousands and thousands of records. Now we just give them they mark when a vendor sends something in, they mark it. I can show it in the click report immediately, and accounting can download it and upload it into Sage immediately.
Goodness me. And so it saves you to 12 to 15 hours a month, but it saves finance, must save finance
Oh gosh,
possibly
yeah,
more.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a great use case. That is a
All
great
right,
use
so
case. Yeah.
and so like you said, here's another thing that I've not seen presented before, but again, I'm uh, I'm showing you this. This is kind of something new that we put out there, and so I know later we'll probably get to kind of what's next. And this, I'll cover what's next as I go through this a little bit because this could be improved upon. But so I've picked a member here that's is no longer a member. Um, so you see, we sort of collect metadata about this, and what this is about is we have kind of a new thing we're doing here after this merger. We have so many members now. We've put a team together that we call business development managers,
Hmm.
and they talk to them. So between myself and our president, a couple different VPs, and this team of business development managers, amongst other people, we have a lot of contacts coming in a lot of different places from all these members. And I don't know about you, but I I, I hate communicating data updates and Outlook.
Yeah.
So trying to give everybody a way to go put the right answer in here
Yeah.
rather than email an answer. One, you can look it up, change it if it's not right, and it's easy. So about this member, we've got data about the member. We've got locations. This one's not. This one's only one. You'll see one with a lot. We have some with an awful lot.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Of course, I'm putting in the maps in here. Now, one of the things you might, well, I'll keep going and I'll get back to it.
Yeah.
So this is kind of cool. So this is where you were talking about one of the things you're getting into later. I'm sort of already doing that. I'm managing what streams I allow people to see. So you'll see now some of these are just my work streams, but I have a lot of streams. And I'm actually allowing this is hooked up to SQL Server, and this is where I'm managing what members can see what stream.
Okay, so you're using this to do security access.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Uh, I've not perfected it probably yet, but it's not only that, but these business development managers come in and see when they're talking to somebody who has access to ClickSense and what they have access to.
Okay.
So you see this NAMS here. Heather is the only one that has access to do the tagging I just showed you.
Hmm.
Um, One, that's sort of how we have licensing at the moment, and two, and this for that particular thing, I don't want to teach thousands of people how to do that for no reason because they might stomp on each other anyway, even if we did. So, um, and then we have we have banners, we have banner shops here, which leads to the question: why don't I have all of the national account taggings that they do have? I will have that in here. This is new. Haven't added it yet. But
Okay.
those national account taggings I just showed you will be right here. And I also intend on putting all that on this map.
Right.
Here's the KPIs that we
Mm-hmm.
also allow the people to see. We purchases, and these are totally fake numbers, by the way. These are totally
Okay.
randomized fake numbers. So
Yeah.
like not even close to real numbers. So purchases, net sales, banner recovery, when it's paid, national account sales, co-ops, things like that. And then there's also some special things that we build just for the business development manager to do.
Hmm.
You know, I showed you a bit of that. It's kind of hard to show here. It's kind of the
Yeah,
secret
that's
sauce
fine.
of how we work with members, kind of financially and stuff
Hmm.
like that. Okay, so another thing that Infinity does is have comment areas. Um, I threw these up here. You know, these presently are, while very elegant, I've not using them in this application quite yet, but look forward to doing that one day.
But the idea is that people can have like a conversation through that pop-up window, yeah, so they can make a comment about something, other people can respond to that comment, and so on.
Yeah, I'd like to figure out how to get that comment um, locked down a little bit, like what I'm talking about, as
Hmm.
if I'm here and I made a Baldwin comment, or I'd like to be able to make a comment
A
about
way of
Baldwin
linking the
and
comments.
be able to send it to somebody so they
Yeah.
know that I did it. But
Okay.
you know, well, progress, right?
Something for
So,
the roadmap. Yeah. Brooks, I'm conscious of the time and I think we might
yep.
have some questions. So maybe what we can do is, guys, if you would like to ask us any questions at all, then please put it in the comments area. You can see in the LinkedIn area, you can add comments here. So if you've got anything that you'd like to put in there, please add that. And what we'll do is we'll ask Brooks as we go. So Brooks, I'm curious, you've shown us just a couple of apps that you can show. Obviously, I don't need you to or show anything else, but just roughly, do you think you've got Infinity on like 10%, 5% of the apps that you click sense apps? What's roughly the percentage, do you think?
Oh, I I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I've got so many apps. I build pricing analysis apps,
Hang
and
on, hang
so
on. At the beginning, you said you're a one-man band.
well,
You surely didn't build all of these on your own.
yeah,
Oh
but
my
so
goodness.
Infinity is not me, so it's going to be a smaller percentage because of that.
Got
But
it.
if
Okay.
you counted that as one app and just these are too big for everything to fit in one thing, so really it's just one app spit out a million
Oh,
times.
I see. It's like yeah, I'm with you. You've
Um,
got one app, but it's multiple versions of the same one. Yeah.
I would say it's probably uh, of our key apps, it's probably in a third of them. I would say probably
About a third of the key apps.
third, maybe. Did I see
Wow.
we do sales, purchasing, pricing, and then it's in the NAMS ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what? It might be half, really.
And what's the kind of feedback that you get from the members that use this? Are they pleased with it?
Oh
Does it
yeah,
help them?
yeah. So used to, I would email out and they'd have to answer us back, and you know, people are busy, so it might take them almost 2 weeks to find it,
Yeah.
answer it, get it back to us, and we kind of consolidate them all, answer them, go through. But by that point, something may have changed and have to go back and back, and or they give me the wrong info, you know. And now uh, they like doing it, so they just go answer it. Some of our largest members that have thousands of connections and tons of locations, they actually before we even put this out to everyone, we kind of baited it with our 4 or 5 of our biggest people. They actually have assigned the role to, you know, everyone has a role assigned, but some of our biggest one that's, you know, they have hundreds of salespeople. It's kind of
Mm.
a whole thing, and they've actually sectioned off a person to do nothing but watch it constantly,
Oh,
rather
wow.
rather than it just be kind of a thing they touch every once in a while.
Yeah.
And so this access was kind of key to that.
Yeah. No, good stuff. Excellent. So you mentioned earlier that you use SQL Server, and are you writing back when you do your write backs? Are you writing back to tables in SQL Server all of the time, or do you use other data storages as well?
For the business development manager tab that I didn't click on, I'm actually writing back to just the XML document on that
Okay.
because they're changing it all the time, and I wanted the history, and I didn't feel like writing all the history in SQL Server. And the XML doc does a great job of every change that's made. It's in the XML document.
Yeah.
There might be a way to do that in SQL Server easier than my ignorance allows.
And have you ever tried, or do you use the write back to QVD?
I haven't.
Okay, that's not something that you've tried yet. Okay, good stuff. All right, so we've been on live now for 45 minutes. Guys, if you've got any other questions, then please just put them in the comments area. So Brooks, just talk us through a little bit about what you think you might be doing next. I know you mentioned your CRM is your current project. Have you got plans for something in the future?
Well, we're rebuilding our rebate management system,
Okay.
and part of that is that I've got to build out a lot of forecasting.
Ah, okay.
And so here shortly, either my US Click partner and or you guys will be hearing from me, I'm sure, with some assistance needed on putting that information together to help us with. We have a lot of, as I mentioned, we're Pronto Network, and we're we're partners and cousins with a few other groups, and together we make the Automotive Parts Services Group, and we negotiate vendor programs as that group name. And oftentimes those rebates are, kind of reward bonuses for achieving certain levels at that entire group level. And so those are typically annual things, and that allows us to forecast it. So we have a whole kind of process going on. So there's a lot of exciting stuff coming on that. It's kind of my
Excellent.
number one focus, really.
Yeah.
We're also getting part of rebate stuff. More and more is always the case, right? So we need to, as time moves along, we need to get a little more creative. And sometimes all the stuff people load on certain, percentages and this, that, that's hard. I have a lot of scripts in SQL Server at the end. I have 10 or 12 that I have to do a few custom things. And so I
Okay.
like to move that custom stuff into a table that people can see and touch.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that going on. And then there's always, we're also we're working on the next version of our extranet always. And kind of embedded analytics, and then also, as we were talking, anything that Inphinity might be able to assist in with that effort is also on the horizon.
Excellent. So we actually have a question from Mark. Hi, Mark. Thank you for your question. It says, for forms, is there a governance piece that offers admin control where you have conflicting inputs to an SQL field? So I think they're thinking, is there a way of preventing data conflict in a data input field? Now, I know the answer, but Brooks, maybe you can explain what you've seen.
Yeah, it locks it. I've not been able to have it. They advertise record locking, and I've not been able to break that.
Yeah, thank you. So Mark, just so that you know, when a person is editing a field value in Inphinity Forms, that entire record is locked. Not just that particular field, but the whole record is locked. And that means that any other user using that particular form on that particular sheet, they won't be able to change that record. So we do record level locking, which prevents data corruption into a field. So hopefully that answers your question for you. Good stuff. Okay, excellent, Brooks. So we've been live for 50 minutes. I'm going to say a huge thank you to you. Thank you so much for the work you put into this and for joining us on this webinar. I know we're actually hoping to meet in person at Click Connect in a couple of months, which I'm really looking forward to. And so, guys, if you are going to Click Connect and you want to meet up with Brooks and myself and the rest of the Inphinity team, please come see us. We are sponsoring Click Connect. We'll have a big stand there. We'd be delighted to have a chat with you and talk about maybe your ideas for Inphinity. So, Brooks, again, thank you so much. I owe you a big one, definitely a pint or two when we're in Click Connect. So thank you so much.
No.
And yeah, look forward to. Oh, Martin, my boss has just said we do the record level locking that prevents use. There we are. That's exactly what we've just mentioned. So good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys. If you have any other comments, please feel free to enter your comments into the LinkedIn chat. That will persist after this webinar is finished. And we're going to try and run one of these on a monthly basis if we can. So we'll keep trying to do that and keep you interested and bring great new things. But Brooks, thank you for your time. Much appreciated. Have a great day for the rest of the day.
All right. Thanks, Simon.
Thank you. Take care now.
We'll see you in June.
Yeah. See you in June. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.